Bernice Shirley was born in a small rural community near Oxford, the second oldest of 11 children. It was a farming community, and they were sturdy, strong-minded, self-reliant American stock. Her parents named her after her aunt, Bessie, but she always preferred to go by her middle name, Bernice. In later life, when the government and institutions such as hospitals and doctors' offices required her to use her given name on paperwork, she was always quick to tell them that her name was really Bernice. She and the older children helped in the fields from a young age, always taking off a month or two from school in the fall to help get the harvest in. She could do one-handed push-ups as a teenager and never hesitated to wade in with fists flailing if one of the older boys at school was picking on her younger siblings. And she won the fights, too. They were a poor family, especially in the early years, but always proud and self-reliant. Once, in the 1930s, when a tornado partially destroyed their home near Tupelo and carried away most of their belongings, her father, Cap Shirley, refused all offers of help, even from the government. He wanted to take care of his family himself, and he did. It was from her mother, Eleanor, that she learned homemaking skills, patience, and the quiet, steady wisdom of a mother. As a teenager, Bernice hoarded her nickels and dimes and managed to save enough money to attend business school in Missouri, north of Kansas City. But fate had different plans for her, in the form of a young carpenter and sometimes reckless motorcycle rider named Will Hunt. They were soon married, and witnessed the beginning of World War II as man and wife. Because of his hearing loss as a child, Will could not serve in the military, but both of them worked in factories supporting the war effort. Will, always the inventor, invented an airspeed indicator that was later used on fighter aircraft. Philip Lee Hunt was born in the middle of the war in 1942, and Gregory Lynn Hunt came along nearly 5 years later in 1947. Will and Bernice were children of the Great Depression and carried their lifelong habits of frugality with them. Will built 3 of the houses they lived in during the 50s and 60s, and also designed and completed their retirement home in the Macedonian community. Although she preferred being a housewife and stay-at-home mom, Bernice worked for several years to save college money for her sons. Phil completed art school in the 60s before joining the Air Force, and Greg completed 2 years of college as an English major before joining the Army during the Vietnam War. Will and Bernice were able to enjoy several years of peaceful retirement in Macedonia before a sudden heart attack claimed his life at age 72 in 1989. Always a sickly child, he had lived much longer than he had ever expected to. But widowhood did not stop Bernice. She grieved for her husband, then went on with her life and got about the business of being a grandmother. Finally, Greg found the right wife for him and wasted no time giving her 4 granddaughters to love and dote over in the first 2 years of marriage. Later, 6 grandchildren came along, and she loved all of them just as much. To the end, even to the final few days before her passing, the light in a child's smile and the music of their laughter and singing still brought a smile to her face. Although she lived longer than either of her parents or any of her siblings, she didn't like being old. She was frustrated and impatient with the limitations of her 89-year-old body and mind. She was often eager to leave this world and move on to her